Welcome to my program. What do you do? Helping people stay out of prison once released. I know it's been a long time since my last episode, but as I said, it's hard to win the trust of hardened inmates. I still don't have many letters because most of the letters I get are off topic. What I mean is that they talk about prison politics or how laws are abusing them or help them write a story about their lives or look up something for them or how the board is mistreating them and things of that nature. This program is about what do you do, helping people stay out of prison once released. However, after doing the main topic, I might start reading one of those off-topic letters so you can kind of get the understanding of the criminal mind. Okay, I got this letter here that's on topic. But at first, I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't want to read it because these kind of people really disgust me. And I always felt that whatever they got coming, they got coming. And those people are child molesters. But then as I really thought about it, the fact is that most child molesters are going to get out of prison someday. And they really are going to need the tools to stay out of prison. Therefore, we should help save the child with giving the offender as many tools as possible. Another major factor that changed my mind is that I know this person is really trying to seek help. You know, he trying to see. Reason being, he's a marked man. Once I read this letter, there's no going back. And when the other criminals hear about it, it's going to be all bad for him, to say the least. I have seen child molesters seriously beaten up or worse, or go through what this man is going through behind me on the screen. Now, I don't know who this man is. I really don't. All I know is this is just an illustration. Sometime when everybody trying to get you, this is the type of program that you're gonna have. You got your own yard, you know what I'm saying? All you got to do is walk around it and throw the ball around and all that, because if you go back in the population, even some PCs, they will try to get you. But like I said, I don't know who this man is. I'm just trying to show you what's possible for this guy to go through by me reading his letter. Okay, so he's doing this at the sake of his own life. So let me go ahead and read it. You know, this has always been a very, very touchy subject. Okay, his name is Mark Diagre. He's 57 years old. He's mixed. He looks white. He's a lifer, and he has 115 years to life. Okay, it seems like he's not going to never get out, but once you go to groups and you do all this and the governor sees you trying to change, and you got judges and everybody writing you all these letters talking about you are changed, it's possible that your sentence can be commuted. So just because you got 115 years to life, you know, me personally, I had triple life plus 39 years, 8 months. And the reason why I didn't do the triple life is because once you get, because everybody was in the same spot. So you can have a room full of people and you can get 50 kidnaps, but they're not going to charge you, make you do time for each one of them. You're going to get the charge, but you're only going to do one of them, which would be life, and life is 7 years by itself. Okay, he was arrested for kidnapping, assault, child sexual assault, and torture. Okay, he's been incarcerated 23 years. He's a Buddhist, and he is now serving his time in Mill Creek State Prison. Okay, he writes, my parents were separated and my mother was on birth control when I was conceived. My impending birth brought my father back into the family home where he stayed for the next 6 or 7 years. In the second grade, one day, I came home from school to find my daddy gone, along with all his stuff and a large amount of stuff I knew belonged to the whole family. He was my Superman, and I had an open, aching wound in my heart that over the next couple of decades, I asked almost every older male in my life to feel. The last time I saw my father, I was, I think, 8 years old. I now know that he disavowed any responsibility for myself and my 3 older sisters, claiming that we were not his children. He died in 2015, shortly before my 49th birthday. I hadn't spoken to him since I was 9. I had even convinced myself at a very early age that he was dead because that was the only conceivable reason that he wouldn't want to be in contact with me. I also blamed myself for his leaving, especially in my later childhood and my teenage years, that I somehow wasn't good enough son to keep him in the family home. Okay. Before my 8th birthday, I was molested by the teenage son of a man who owned the corner store. Then on my 9th birthday, Mousy, one of my older sister's friends, introduced me to a man who offered to take me for a ride on his motorcycle. He took me to his house and did every sexual thing to me that an adult male could do to a child. When I got home, too late for my now canceled birthday party, I lied to my mother about where I'd been and what I'd been doing. At some point after my father left home, I, very painfully, learned that a believable lie was easier than a hard truth when giving explanations to my mother. Shortly after my 9th birthday, we moved to Napa, California. And in about a year, I was being regularly molested by a local businessman who also used me for the production of child sexual abuse material, better known as kiddie porn, and introduced me to a friend of his who abused me as well. That man introduced me to a friend of his, and that man introduced me to a friend of his, who introduced me to a friend of his. By the time I hit puberty, I was having sex on a regular basis with some 15 men, each of whom paid me for sex. It was during this time that I began extensively using drugs and alcohol to suppress the emotional turmoil I was living in. And while I never got stuck on any specific substance, I was stuck on using chemicals to suppress my essential moral and emotional self. This then allowed me to continue doing the soul-killing and morally objectionable things that I was doing to get drugs so that I could stay high enough not to care about what I was doing to make enough money for drugs that I was using. From 11 to 17, I would regularly come home in the evening with semen in my hair and on my breath. I cannot count the number of times I had blood in my underwear before I was 15. I was beaten, raped, and robbed over and over again. And while seeking the approval of the older males in my life. Being called faggot, fairy, queer, etc. by my peers just confirmed that I was somehow essentially different and destined to be living the life I was. I hated myself and everything about me. If you found something to like about me, I knew that you knew just exactly what and who I believed myself to be, and I would take any and everything I could from you until you got wise and cut me off. At 17, I was living in Forest Ranch, California, and told my mother about a man who had started abusing me at 10. She contacted the police, who then contacted me, and we began an interview process that left me feeling even worse about myself than I had ever before. I ended up spending some 3 days with 2 detectives who took my story, challenging just about everything I said. In the end, I felt that I was somehow responsible or to blame for the years of sexual abuse that I lived through. Near the end of the last day of interrogating me, one of the detectives turned to me and said, "You know, you're going to grow up to be a child molester." Right? He confirmed my suspicions about myself. After all, I more than half believe what I've been told since I was 10, that my prepubescent male body was the ultimate of sexual desirability, and I was beginning to take a prurient interest in the 9-year-old brother of one of my friends. From the age of 7, my experience was that every older male in my life was only interested in sex, either with myself, one of my 3 older sisters, or my mother. I knew that the older males in my life were there for sex, period. No one could ever be interested in me. For me, in being my friend or my mentor, big brother or companion, no, they only want to get laid. There was no one I could trust, no one I could turn to. I'd been in some kind of therapy from the age of 9 or 10. And not a single professional ever asked me if someone was molesting me. I consistently asked why I did specific things. Why did you cut school for 4 months, for instance? But from what I can tell, there was no dot connecting, no investigation of causal behaviors, just a desire, a drive on the behalf of the professionals in my life to stop specific undesirable behaviors. After reporting the man who had been molesting me from the age of 10, I was asked to testify at a preliminary hearing on that day. While in the courthouse, I refused to testify. That comment made by the investigating officer stuck in my head. I firmly believed that I was destined to be a child molester, and in some kind of twisted way, I feel like I would be testifying against myself. I just couldn't do it. It didn't help from the time of my first report to the day of hearing. I was not allowed to engage in any type of therapy. I had been alone in the interrogation room with those two officers for 3 days while they interrogated me, and would again be alone on the witness stand with that man for 7 years. Told me that I was perfect. Told me over and over again that he loved me, and convinced me that my only value in this world was my body. Okay. All right. I'm at a loss. Okay, his questions. Okay, number one, having no trustworthy adults in your life, who do you turn to for help? Okay. His second question, do you currently mentor a child who needs positive role models in their life? If not, why not? How do you handle being denied, cast aside, and then left to your own devices as a child? Can you identify with the child in the story? If so, how? Why not? Aside from actual child molesters themselves, who is responsible for creating the situations that made it possible for the crimes committed against me as a child? Okay. Who is responsible for creating the situations that made it possible for the crimes committed against me as a child? Okay. Now, we got a little thing here called original pain. And that's what really, another thing that caught my eye about him, let him know that he was doing the work because I was going through the process. This is me here graduating from GRIP. You know what I'm saying? There's the graduation certificate along with these other certificates I got. So, you know, it's not easy. So I had to write one of these letters to, I might decide to read it one of these days. Now this is his original pain. Now they make you write this and read it in your group. I was 12 or 13 at the time. I had been being passed around from man to man and had been with him at least 2 or 3 times. This was my first time in his house. When we were done, I was looking in his dresser and nightstand while he was taking his shower. I found an envelope with 5 $100 bills in it. I took one. The next time we were together, it was like nothing was wrong. He didn't notice that I had taken his money until we were on the bed, and once incredibly hard punch to my stomach and I couldn't breathe. He pinned my arms to the bed and shoved himself down my throat, not letting me breathe until nearly passing out. Then he forced himself into me from the other end and without stopping or slowing down, raped me for I don't know how long. When he was done, he called me a dirty little fat whore and gave me enough time to get dressed before kicking me out without paying me. I never saw him again. 2 days later, I was with Bill, the man who started me into that life and kept me around for his use and entertainment. He took pictures and videos of me and were saying, "Come on, it's not that bad." I have continued to identify myself as a dirty little faggot whore from that day on. I acted accordingly. If I could steal from you, I would. If I could seduce you, I would. I would use any abuse, anyone I encountered to get what I wanted from them. I wasn't worth the stuff you wiped off your shoes before going into somebody's house. I am pretty sure that Bill didn't know about the other men who were paying me for sex. He was laughing at my pain, and from his time in my body, from his time of me and my reactions. After 6 months after Bill started abusing me, he introduced me to his friend who he had met in prison, who also had a special friend, as Bill put it. The man approached me and then introduced me to another man who introduced me to another man who introduced me to another man, and it just kept going. I think by the time I was 15 and getting too old for most men, there was some 15 different men who either had or were paying me for sex, not including Bill and Carl, the guy he initially introduced me to. Because I saw myself as worthless, I couldn't find no value in anyone else. I could see no worth in anyone except as a potential sex partner or avenue to something that I wanted. I would calculate what I believed they would want to do and how much I would charge them for it, or what I could get away with doing to them. Every interaction I had with anyone, no matter age, sex, station, was tinged with the color of sex. I believed that was all I was good for, so I used it to the best advantage I could. This is where my drinking and drug use started. I couldn't stand being with myself, so I buried myself in chemicals. If I was high, I didn't have to deal with the things I was doing to get money that I was spending on to get high. I also didn't have to look too closely at who I was screwing, both literally and figuratively, in other areas of my life. Emotionally, I was stuck at 8 or 9 years old. I had a very simplistic view of the world, and no matter how old my body got, I was still an abused, confused, and selfish child. When I finally reported Bill, I was 17. I couldn't bring myself to say anything about the other men, in part because I couldn't break my mother's heart like that, and apart from that was the whole ego trip of not letting my abuse be all that bad. But a large part of the way the officers who interviewed me, interrogated me, treated me I felt like I was being questioned as a suspect in a crime, not a victim. They treated me with suspicion and mistrust throughout the entire 3 days that I was giving evidence. I felt like I'd done something wrong, that somehow I had let them down. And it seemed like their feelings about me were right all along. On the last day of their interrogation, one of the men turned and said, "You know you're going to be a child molester, right?" There was no way out, no qualifier, no possibility that I could ever escape the eventuality. I had no choice in the matter and how it was put to me. As time went on, I let the image of who and what I was take over my life. It was much easier to live up to their expectations of my failure in life than it was to be successful that my mother and family saw. It was so much easier to completely fail at being a good person than it would be to fight and crawl and struggle to be a good person and make something of myself. It seemed I really was a dirty little faggot whore after all. Yeah. That is yeah, I'm just getting you, like I say, I'm just getting used to this stuff here. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. That's a cold thing there to have to live your life like that. So you're out there for 1 hour a day. And the other 23 hours you're in your cell. Okay, last part is he wrote a poem, and I'm just trying to give you his mindset. In this situation, I'm at a loss. To be honest with you, all I was in a part of child molesters in the pen was rolling with the majority. You know, we beat them up and all that type stuff. But so like I say, what do you do? This man really needs some help. I don't know what to do but this. Okay, now he wrote a poem. It is called A Piece of Pain. His name is Bill. Every time he sees me, he's in me. Come on, it's not that bad. Laughing at my tears, wiping blood, excrement, and ejaculate. No one has a clue. I scream in rage, cut school, disrespect teachers, mother, friends, and self. But, dirty little faggot whore. Too big to voice, too deep to show. I know in rage I am safe. I know in drink I am safe. I know in dope I am safe. In his arms I am safe. Safe isn't no pain. Safe means I don't feel the pain. Isn't that the same thing? I could tell, but no one cares because no one listens, because no one has ever asked, holding me close, telling me, I love you, breathless, endless, soundless. pain, it never ends. My cries, unvoiced, they would do no good. He gives me love. He gives me hugs. He gives me money. Every time he gives me pain and money, and pain and money and pain. So, it's a touchy subject here. But, like I say, his name is Mark Diagree, or whatever. He's at Mill Creek State Prison. Facility D16C206, Ione, California. Now, if you want to get at him, this is what you do. Okay, that's all I have for now. I'm gonna start back trying to get them. I have a few letters, but like I say, I have many more that's off topic. But like I say, it's gonna take time. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they have plenty of is time. So until next time, thank you for joining my program.